Hello and welcome back to another FPL Forbes video. It's wonderful to have you with me here today. If you're new, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button as well as the like button and hit the notification bell if you do consider subscribing to the channel today. My name is Murray Forbes and we're going to be diving into who you should be selecting for this final round of 16 fixtures. Looking impressive here. Let's get up the team. Now, before I get into the players that I think we should be targeting for this week's fixtures, perhaps you would like to leave your comments down below on who you think I should be choosing, who you've perhaps already chosen, and who I've left out. So I'd love to hear that, and I'd love to share it with the rest of the community here today. But I want to start with targeting some of the fixtures. Now, if we dive into the fixtures here, the Danes, of course, are favourites to beat Wales. But if Bale and Ramsey turn up, it could be a tightly fought fixture. Next, of course, we have Italy, who are very heavy favourites against Austria. We'll see in the team reveal shortly who I have from the Italian side. Then, moving further down, we have Dutch versus Czech Republic. The Dutch cruised through the group stages and got 3 wins. 2 absolute musts, I think, from this team are Gigi Wijnaldum, of course, Memphis Depay as well. The little undercurrent here is, of course, Denzel Dumfries for the Dutch at the back, who has been firing recently, and he was rested during the second half of their previous fixture, so he'll be coming in, I'm pretty sure. The next other potential here is, of course, the Patrick Schick for the Czech Republic, who seems to be getting on the score sheet for them, and may be a nice differential to add to our team, but we'll head back to the team and reveal it soon. The fixture I will bypass is this Belgium-Portugal and just head straight on to Croatia versus Spain here, because we'll come back and talk more in depth about the Belgium-Portugal game. Now, Spain, of course, are favourites here and for their encounter with Spain, but it is tough to select any of their players as they seem to have been seriously underwhelming. They did score 5 in their last game against Slovakia, but only 3 of them were their own goals. And Ferran Torres came off the bench and scored a fantastic goal, and even Pau Torres nearly got on the score sheet there for them. But if Spain go through, we will need some of their players, considering they are firm favourites. I have a sneaky suspicion that Croatia will put up a very good fight, Modric rather. Modric as well as Perisic have been finding their form slowly but surely, and that showed in their 3-1 win against a very determined Scotland team. This is one of the big fixtures that we should, of course, as as Euro Fantasy managers be looking at is this France-Switzerland game. We will see that many of the French assets, however, are premium and come at a high cost, so having a number of them in the side definitely affects our budget. Now, how can we not say much or anything really about this England-Germany fixture? The bookies have it quite tight in terms of who the favourites might be. The Germans had they had to fight to get through this group of death, and their last game, actually yesterday evening against Hungary, they really had to fight tooth and nail to come through there. England, however, looked very comfortable through their group stages. They did have some tough fixtures, but they did rotate some of their players, and I think personally, more fresh than the Germans coming into this fixture. And I do think that the English are favourites, and with that squad rotation and having the likes of Foden, Saka, Grealish, and of course Raheem Sterling really finding some form, this English side has the potential to score goals, but I've only scored 2 so far in the tournament. So it will be an interesting fixture, and if England don't have that click, there's potential here for the Germans to come through with an upset. If the Germans do cause an upset and you're looking for some German assets, Goossens at the back for them looks the best attacking threat from the back, and of course Havertz, who just keeps racking up the goals. Those are two assets from the German side who may be in contention for the team. Now, if we head back up here to the Belgium Portugal game, it's going to be an absolute thriller, I think. And both Lukaku and Ronaldo look good targets. I like Kevin De Bruyne as well, of course. Hazard has been fairly poor, I think, but may be taking penalties. If it does go, of course, to a draw and then it plays out to be a draw at the end after extra time and penalties come in. Another player worth considering from the Belgium side is, of course, Thomas Meunier at the back, who seems to have solidified his spot as the right back for the Red Devils. But Portugal may be paused for one of the tournament upsets here, and I imagine that it might be a very good fixture to watch. And Ronaldo, of course, is the obvious pick here. Uh, Bruno Fernandes was not rested, but seemed to be taken off. I don't think he was rested. I think that they looked for a different formation, a different midfield combination when Sanchez came on. So he's not going to be on the team. Jota has played every game, so perhaps Ronaldo, I mean, of course, is the obvious fixture, but at 12 million, it's a premium asset to buy against what have been a very strong Belgium team. Now, the last match here I want to just talk about, of course, is the Sweden versus Ukraine fixture. Sweden seem big favorites, and the games that I did watch where Ukraine played, they lacked something special. They looked awful, to be quite frank. I did have Yaremchuk as well as Yarmolenko in the two games, in their final two games, and I missed out on their first game where they got some points for Ukraine. But I'm not looking to get any of the Ukraine assets in, if I'm honest. Uh, but Forsberg looked fantastic and scored a brace and he's on penalties as well. So I'm thinking he's a definite player to get in here, but we will see shortly when I head back to the team. Now let's head across now to the team. So getting back to those really good fixtures we want to target. Of course, the first one is Italy versus Austria. Up front here, Immobile seems to be an absolute must. While he hasn't outscored some of the other forwards, he just seems to be there or thereabouts, and I would definitely consider bringing him in. The next, of course, is Depay from the Dutch. Very, very good. Of course, Gigi Wijnaldum is an absolute must. The combination between Depay and Gigi has only gotten better and better as the tournament's progressed. Berardi here, I think, is an absolute steal at 6.2 million compared to the counterpart of Insigne, and looks equally as dangerous if he has a good game and gets lots of ball. So I brought him in because he allows the affordability of some of your more premium picks. And of course, here at the back, you have to bring Spinazzola in, who's been absolutely phenomenal for the Italians. And their fixture against Austria, I highly, highly recommend getting him in as well. And of course, the Netherlands versus Czech Republic, hence why we've got the two Dutch. And the third Dutch player we have, of course, is Denzel Dumfries here. What an absolute champion he's been and has raised many heads in the Euro Fantasy League. Seems an absolute no brainer to bring him in as well. Naturally, of course, as I was talking about before, bringing in some French assets against France. Benzema, I have looked to try to bring in Pogba as well as Griezmann or even Mbappe, but the combination of those players just means I would have to sacrifice some other players in very important positions on the field. And while it's a very attractive fixture, I think the Swiss will fight and play a low block and hope for those counter attack football. So if I still think France will win it, but maybe only a 1-0 or a 2-0. And because Benzema just is coming off some really, really good form against Portugal in the last match, and Pogba was just finding him so much space, I think Benzema is probably a one asset I would definitely recommend. Of course, you can also bring in Griezmann, but if your budget allows, bring him in. Mbappe was just too expensive for my team, hence why he's not in the side now. Now, those other fixtures that I was talking about before that you should maybe consider are, of course, the Wales versus Denmark game. Now, I've brought in Mahale here, Jacquim, and he seems to be an absolute beast at the back at the moment, is bringing serious points through. And in their fixture versus Wales, I think that he's definitely a shout. So I brought him in from the Danish side. There are the odds on the Wales Denmark game are there. Another, of course, idea is to bring in Bale or Ramsey, but my midfield that you'll see coming shortly, I think, is stronger than having Bale or Ramsey in it. But that brings us to, of course, the next pick here of Forsberg from Sweden. Sweden versus Ukraine. I definitely see Sweden coming through there and Forsberg getting on the score sheet once again, just in such good form. Now that Belgium Portugal fixture we were talking about as well, that has the likes of Lukaku and Ronaldo as premium options, they're not here. I don't have them in my side, and I'm worried. I have to admit, I have to be blatantly honest. Ronaldo and, of course, Lukaku could be getting big points, and I'm worried that I'm not going to have them in here. But the budget really just doesn't allow me to bring them in, considering what I have lined up here already. So, if you're wanting to get Lukaku and Ronaldo in, definitely try and get them in and sacrifice just basically what we would call having some bench fodder in your team. And it may be worth it. I've gone for more of a spread at this stage, and that's the strategy that I'm going with. So at the moment, no Lukaku, no Ronaldo. But let's see who's coming next. The England Germany game is a bit of a tough one to call. And I was thinking about bringing Trippier in, but Reece James seems to be playing ahead of him at the moment. And I've brought him in here just because I'm wanting some of those English assets, and I still think that England will go through against Germany, and having at least one English asset will be good. And of course, I have those three transfers that will go into the quarterfinals. So if I need to bring more English players in, I always can do that, or German players if needs be. Now, of course, the next big reveal for me is Kevin De Bruyne. Absolute no-brainer. Has seems to be his assists and, of course, his goal-scoring potential are just so high. I've gone for Donnarumma in the back in the goals because I think the Italians are looking absolutely superb and are definitely favourites in the game against Austria. So I've got him in. Another little sneaky one here is, of course, Stecklenburg for the Dutch, and he's definitely going to be someone who I think will bring in if something happens with the Italians, and they don't get a clean sheet, but I'm pretty sure they will be. And at 4.7 million, a starting goalkeeper, he's meant that I can have other options in my team, but of course, just a backup goalkeeper in case the Italian match or something happens there. I'm loving my Spanish pick here because you'll see that I don't have any Spanish players in, and they are favorites in their fixture as well against Croatia. And it was tough not putting in Perisic or Modric in as well because I think that's going to be a very good fixture. But I like the way that Sariba played in the last fixture. I think he's going to start again. Sergio Busquets getting the man of the match just seemed to up that Spanish tempo, and Sariba looked very attacking. Of course, Ferran Torres is also an option, but coming in at 6.5 million has allowed me to have what I have up here on the starting lineup. Now, the final reveal is the German Hussens. He's, while was very quiet in their Hungary fixture, an integral part of the team. I may sub him out for someone else or transfer. We have unlimited transfers, but for now, this is the team that I'm going for. The obvious weaknesses are the lack of French players against a much weaker Swiss team, and of course, no Ronaldo, no Lukaku. My captain choices seem fairly obvious if we see the dates here. On the 26th, going for Berardi, and then next on the 27th would probably either be Gigi Wijnaldum or Depay in the Dutch fixture. And of course, then Sariba on the 28th might be a very good call against Croatia. And then on the final day, on the 29th, Forsberg against Ukraine just seems, if I've missed anyone firing here in the first 3 days, in the first 2 days rather, Forsberg seems to be a safe bet in that Sweden Ukraine game. And I like that spread. I like the possibilities it gives me. If you found the information valuable today, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button, the like, and of course the notification bell so you know when I'll be releasing the next video. My name is Murray Forbes. This is FPL Forbesy. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.